first broadcast from the East.
Yeah.
How you feeling? Are we settling in? Everyone's asking.
Yes, we are. We've been almost a month here, and so I'd say we are. We just have a few tweaks to do, a little bit of painting.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn this on so we can see our. Let me turn the volume down. So I'll give this to you, Shani.
Great.
Yeah, the volume's down. There you go.
Thank you.
This is our new home. We're gonna get rid of the yellow.
Actually, the yellow's starting to grow on me. No, it's not.
No. Okay, I should be there. You should be here.
Okay.
Because I'm way up here and you're way. Let's switch.
Okay.
We're switching. Nobody's on screen. What kind of show is this? How's that?
Oh,
much better. Okay. Let's see if we can move this thing here. Yeah.
Good.
How's everybody? I mean, it's Sunday, so we weren't sure how this was going to work. Shannon told me to change my shirt. She doesn't like me wearing rock t-shirts, but I had to remind her.
No, I do. I do like rock t-shirts.
Rock history music t-shirts.
That's right.
Hey, Maria Day. She's always
Hi.
there. Hi, Maria. Nice to have you on here. We don't announce our live feeds because we never know when we're going to do them. Because of getting used to the schedule, people have been asking us, how come you're not, why didn't you work ahead of schedule and stuff like that? Once we started packing, when we were still living out on the West Coast, once we started packing, it became so overwhelming. I don't know, you're actually getting them there too. So if you want to read them off here, Shani, it's fine. I call her Shani or Cookie.
Hi, Maria. We just want to say hi back. Thank you. It's nice to have you on here as well.
You.
Hi, Christopher628. Hello.
How's it going, man? So when we started packing, it became overwhelming for us. So Chase and I had a plan because as people noticed, all of a sudden, a new part of Dennis DeYoung, which haven't come up in 2 months, came up. We were so overwhelmed. This was such an arduous, just a crazy move for us.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy. That we were not anticipating the amount of stress this move was going to be. Like we weren't moving with a company. We were moving for family. We still have family in British Columbia. We came from Alberta, but in British Columbia. And we're going to see them starting next winter. We're going to go back and forth. What do we got? Porco.
You guys look great. Wonderful to see you again.
Thank you.
CG, enjoy your show. Really looking forward to more Dennis DeYoung.
Yeah, we got a lot of reaction from the last part, and it was nothing against, of course, Lawrence Gowan, who I love. I prefaced the question by saying, he's a good guy and stuff, and we've got 2 interviews with Gowan, as he was called back then, in our basement. From all those interviews we inherited, but we're having a lot of problems with making them sound good because they're from the 80s. And who is that?
Hi, Glenda.
Hi, Glenda. Hello in capital letters, so Glenda's not fooling around.
No. And Maria asked, are you in the new house yet? Yes.
This is the new
Behind
house.
us, it is very yellow.
Look at the ceiling in this house.
It's quite lovely.
Look at the ceiling.
It's 3 different shades of yellow.
And they're patterned after the bedrooms.
So I figured they took a paint fan, looked at 3 or 4 of the colors, then just sort of went the same way, right?
Well, each bedroom is painted one of those colors. Thank you. What is it? I can't see that.
Katie.
Oh, Katie?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, hope you're doing well. Yes, thank you. Finally settled.
We're painting the whole thing white, and some of our friends are going, "Oh, how could you do that?" When are we getting painted? We're painting the entire house.
We're like booked for middle of November.
Yeah.
We're like 3 months behind.
We got our new appliances yesterday because when you buy a house, sometimes this house is from what year?
2006.
Yeah. And the last person who owned it was a single guy, and I'm sure he was the nicest guy in the world, but he it just needed some maintenance.
Yeah, I like to say a little TLC.
You're being very diplomatic.
And maybe I'm just a little picky. So that's
no.
I'm a little picky. That's for sure.
One of these days we'll take you around the house, and just the basement's really cool. It's a walkout basement. We really like it. The interview with Mike Levine was done in the basement. And it has a ceiling like this as well. It's actually quite nice. The ceiling like this is also in the master bedroom, and not exactly like this, different design, but yeah, we like. This is probably the nicest house, not the nicest, the coolest house Our last house is probably
It's
the
just a
nicest
fun
house.
house.
It's a fun house.
Mike says, glad you're back safely. Wish
Thank
your
you.
family the best. CG said, any chance you'll do an interview with Clapton?
I don't think I could get an interview with Clapton, and and maybe he does want to talk about it. You know, he's very anti-vax. I mean, that's the elephant in the room. It's not with Clapton now. It wouldn't be his drug use or him and George Harrison and Patty. Right now, the pink elephant question with George Harrison, which I would need to ask, would be, "What the heck, man?" You know. And Paul Carrick just posted a picture of a concert that I guess they did together. So maybe Paul's on that. And we interviewed Paul, of course, a little while ago. Great interview. Nice guy. I'm not sure how he feels about it.
I was laughing at Maria. She says, you're not picky. You just want things your way. You got it, girl. Yes.
Maria, yeah.
I have a vision. I always say that I've got a vision.
Well, Shannon sold houses we couldn't afford in Calgary, very nice estate homes. And after a while, right, you start to get a feel for it. You don't put that with
just
this.
sort of what goes and color schemes and how to kind of change the feeling of the room. And yeah, it was kind of neat to go through
very
the
good
process.
salesperson for them. Did incredibly well. But we also wanted a change of lifestyle. Another reason why we came out here is I didn't want Shannon to be in that type of job for a long time, even though she enjoyed it. She loved the people she was working with. But it was high stress. She'd come home and she'd be working 3-4 hours.
And that was just how that job went, right? You were just busy. It was always evolving, always moving. So many different moving parts at all times. So it's nice to really take a step down. And this is not taking a step down, but just kind of regrouping. That's sort of what I think this move has been for us, for sure.
We're living in the Maritimes. For anyone, our U.S. friends, geographically, we're above Maine. I mean, if you're visiting any place from New Brunswick in the U.S., you basically. Oh, thank you very much, Toro Porco. Thank you.
It's been too long since I've had a chance to send one of these.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. So, family was a reason I wanted to come. I grew up in New Brunswick, in this area, not quite here. There was price gouging happening in our small town, in my small town where I grew up. So we decided we're not going to buy a house that someone's asking $150,000 over asking price, not asking price, but assessed value price. We went through all that. Shannon broke her foot in 2 places. There was so many setbacks, but one day I just told Shannon, she says, "Why are we hitting so many roadblocks?" I'm going, "This happens." You know,
and we were buying in a market that was incredibly competitive
because of COVID.
and because of COVID, and especially here in the province that we're in now. Houses were kind of undervalued for quite some time, and now it was at a point where things were just sort of increasing so much. So we sold fast. We came in, and we had to go through a little bit of a roller coaster to get through it. Phenomenal realtor that we dealt with here. So
Brenda was great. Yeah.
So we're really fortunate to kind of have all that together as well.
Actually, after what's Brenda's last name? I'm sorry.
Martin.
After we dealt with Brenda Martin, and she was just here the other day, just welcoming us in the house. After working with this angel of a human being, the best realtor I've ever worked with in my life, we both looked at her and we said, "You're like family to us now." And she was choking up, and she's like that. It's rare to deal with a realtor where you have that kind of connection. Beautiful human being, just a nice person.
PL Guy News, hello from Maine.
Hey, cool.
I've got KAJ.
You're not far from us if you're in Maine.
Hello from Sweden. Congrats on your new home. I'm doing
Thank
the
you.
same. Jasmine George. Barry.
How far are you moving? You're doing the same. You're moving too? I'm so curious. I never thought I'd be moved. Well, mind you, when I was 19, and it's easy when you're 19 because you have a suitcase. You don't have a wife, you don't have kids. So getting on, and you're impulsive, and getting on a plane from, by the way, when I was 19, she was 10. So I didn't date her then.
I would have been in grade 4, 5,
No.
6?
No, it makes it sound really icky if you look at it that way. Wait a minute.
Mark says, great people in New Brunswick.
Yes. In this neighborhood we're at, you cannot walk on this street. It's kind of not quite country-esque, but it's very, very quiet. Half the people here are seniors, the other half. And all you see as a seniors, because as one senior told me this week, You'll notice more seniors because they're the ones that know they have to walk. And I thought,
And that's so true.
it's so
because
true. I never would have thought of
sometimes
it.
All the young ones are like, oh no, I got lots of time.
And they don't have to, and they might be in blue collar jobs or exercise a lot
So
anyway.
true.
But the older folks, I just saw like 3 elderly couples come by because our picture window's right there.
Mike L says, since you're in the Maritimes, any chance of interviewing Miles Goodwin of April Wine, a Canadian legend?
Where does Miles live? I've interviewed Miles. And I was just given an opportunity. Jim Henman, from April Wine, who plays with Miles now on a regular basis, just contacted me because I've become friends with Jim a little bit. And he contacted me because Miles just has that new song that's sort of a benefit to Indigenous children and what's happened to them, all the graves they found. And he told me you should reach out to Miles and gave me his email address. So, yeah. And they just did their first show in, 2 years? In Calgary, our old stomping grounds, I think last night or the night before. Forget.
Elliot says, greetings from New York. My office is in your area with clients in New Brunswick.
Oh, cool.
This is from CG. Who would you want to interview that you haven't had the chance to yet?
I'm going through a period, and Shannon's going to start doing some of these as well. It's interesting. The other side, which I have to be transparent, the longer I'm off doing videos, the harder it is to get back to it. Because I go in, because might not seem that way, but I'm relatively kind of a introverted, shy person. And I'd watch crime shows all day on the ID network. And Shannon says, oh, more crime shows.
Yeah, okay, wait, I have to regress for a second because when you do say it's harder for you to get back into it, but then when you do come back into it, you're definitely, you're refreshed. You just have a few more things to sort of add to the table that you've had.
I think you're being
before.
generous.
No.
I don't know. I just find myself with this round of stopping, and I've stopped before because I'll go through bits of depression sometimes. Nothing serious, but I just go. I want to. So this time it was a question of a lot of anxiety, and the longer I was out of it, the harder it was. And I started realizing I'm making a living doing this. I mean, I have my radio job too, and I have to support this family. And I went, I got to get back to it. I got to do it. So I'd be lying in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning going, okay, I'm almost ready. And finally we started releasing. There's a lot more Dennis DeYoung. I think there's 5 more pieces. We're going to release the entire Dennis DeYoung on a podcast, hopefully this week or next week. We're going to start doing that. When there's one guy who's always been bitching constantly about the fact, why are you releasing 5-minute videos? Then you go, the majority of people are watching 4 minutes of a 5-minute video. On this channel, kind of works that way. And we're also going to release the entire videos from now on the sister channel, which is Rock History Book, and then on the podcast as well. Plans. Chase is going to help us with that because I don't like doing podcasts, even though I'm a radio guy.
Randy says, what upcoming interviews do you have planned?
We're working on Carl Palmer. Carlos Santana's a long shot. We were talking to the management. Really short. This chair rocks. I mean, it literally rocks. We're working on that. What else we got? Trying to think. We've got the Clapton interviews with all 3 guys that we did about a year ago. Because strategically that's such a juggling act, we have to do a documentary style. I don't want to just put Terry Draper on or John. So I'm not sure how we're going to do it. I have to put it together. Maybe Chase will help me with that. It's a big task. And then we might be getting Gil and Rick of Triumph. I never talked to Gil, so I'd like to talk to him. He's a tall dude, man. I'll think of some. We're working on some other ones.
Would love to hear from Carl Palmer, a legend.
Yeah, I was kind of promised the Doobie Brothers, most notably Tom and Pat, but they're on the road, so we'll have to see. The new album's coming out, so they kind of told me I have an interview with both of them. I want to interview them separately. Again, that's more editing, but instead of interviewing 2 guys and one guy only speaking for 30 minutes and the other guy speaking for 30 minutes, you get them separately and you get an hour from each one, right?
Sue says, hi, John Shannon, missed you. Welcome back. And JT Shark, silly question. Did you ask DeYoung about how he made a 50-year marriage work in rock and roll?
We mentioned his wife, Chase. Yeah. What did we mention? Dennis DeYoung's wife come up on the interview? Maybe not, eh?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he edited it. I take the interviews right out of my mind as soon as I'm finished doing them. Because the amount of focus it takes to research an interview, especially with Dennis DeYoung, who asks, I mean, it's really nice, and I'm not bragging, but I'm really proud of it because it doesn't happen very often. He asked for me specifically. He told his management company, I'd like to interview, I'd like John Beaudin to interview me, so he'd seen my interviews before, and that meant a lot to me. It was, I know his personality is bigger than life, but those are the kind of interviews I like doing.
Will you interview Elton John?
I contacted Ray Williams, who introduced Elton to Bernie a few months ago before the move, and I said, Ray, I think I'm just going to go for it. What can you do? And Ray says, I could probably help you. And he was going to call me, but I said, let me follow up with you. And then we never did get back. Shannon's going to really help me with this because Shannon knows Ray as well because we interviewed Ray together. So Shannon's, I'm not a doer. I might sound like this because I have this channel, it's doing really well. But Shannon will get up in the morning and start doing stuff. And I just go, Shannon, I can't think about that right now. Or she'll say, okay, this is what we got this month and this is what we're spending. And I'll go, just handle it. She could kill me and I don't know how much money I have.
I'm all about closing the file. That's the thing. Just close the file, right? So that's kind of where I come in.
I'm not good at that at all. So Shannon's going to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and start going after the interviews because I usually just get interviews that I'm asked to do, so there.
Let's just see here.
I sound like a screw up, but I'm not. I'm just not good at that kind of stuff. I don't like calling people. I hate calling people.
Randy says, heard the first 4 songs off the new Doobie Brothers album. I hate to say it, I wasn't impressed.
I heard one. Their last few albums I've liked. I mean, they sound like it's a Doobie Brothers style. They sound like the Doobie Brothers, So. Tom Scholes.
Now, if only Tom Scholes would come out of hiding in his secret lair.
I didn't expect him after the interview with Jim and Barry. I didn't expect, people said, I even said in the interview, I mean, mostly because I didn't want to get sued, though I was just asking a question, someone was answering it. So I said, hey man, if Tom Scholes wants to come forward and say something. Somebody just told me that Brad Delp's old house, the house where he committed suicide, they were having problems selling it, or maybe not recently, but when they did, I was in the middle of the move at the time. And I remember going, I don't know if I'd want that house, because he was one of my favorite singers of all time.
So what about your favorite early metal band from the 70s?
No metal bands.
Oh, there's got to be.
No, I'm not a metal. I'm not really. I've liked some hard rock, a lot of hard rock. Nazareth could be hard rock. Deep Purple, Zeppelin, but metal. I've never been a metal fan. No, and when I cover metal, it's always like the popular metal bands, and I leave that for other people because I'm not an expert in that field. I mean, obviously, when someone dies, sometimes I'll go. It's rare, but sometimes when someone dies, I'll go, I don't know who that is. But it's rare. It's maybe once a year that'll happen. But then you do research on the person, you find out stuff. People always think that we get behind the microphone and start talking about, I mean, I'm doing it now, but if you're going to have to do an in-depth thing on somebody, you're going to have to do research. And you can't rely on memory. And artists, when you ask them questions, that famous Jethro Tull piece, when Ian Anderson says, someone said, Elvis will see you now, and he said it was the fat Elvis. But he said it was 1971, I forget what and Elvis wasn't fat in 71. So he got his dates mixed up. So you've got to do research on what they tell you to say, well, actually, I think Ian Anderson meant this.
Access says, John, a few weeks ago, Neil Sean watched one of my Journey guitar covers and sent me a thumbs up in a DM on Twitter. I was so shocked.
My God, that's so cool.
Isn't that great?
Can you put the link to your video on here? Are you able to do that? I don't know if you can do that on this. Yeah, or send it to me at try to put it on here so people can see it. That'd be great.
So, John, how are you balancing living in the Maritimes but hosting a show at West? That's from JT.
It's easy. It doesn't change. Nothing really changes. They have the logs ready for me, and I do them. The people out in Vancouver, my show's in Vancouver, they like it because they get the show early. Inadvertently, I'm just recording early from them. So if something happens, because it was only an hour difference before living in Calgary, I mean, yeah, that's it. Nothing's really changed. I'm not on the weekend, so I'm not on tonight. I love working for them. They're a really good company to work for. Mental health is a big thing with them. You can hear our autistic daughter there watching.
She's in full swing behind us there in the other room.
She's watching her videos.
Randall says, I thought when DeYoung sang on your last interview with him, going cold, no warm-ups, and at his age was amazing.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think the first time that ever happened was, and I'm probably wrong, but the first time I can remember that happened in an interview with Randy Meisner, singing, who sang that song? If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, better make an ugly woman your wife. Remember that one? I forget. We used to play that on CFun. I used to work for a classic AM station in, like a very famous radio station in Vancouver. Same company, 14 CFun, and we used to play that song. Someone will know who that was.
David's asking, do you see new music coming from either EW&F or Chicago?
Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah.
I don't know. Chicago, I would think so, yeah. I asked Neil Donnell that when I interviewed him. He's the current lead singer of Chicago. And Neil was, I said, Neil, you should give me hell about this during the interview. He never did. He says, even though I'm your least favorite tenor. Because I had said that when I joined the band, I'd said, hey guys, leave Neil Donnell alone. The guy can do so many different voices. I mean, you don't have to like his voice, but you can't say he can't sing. And then his son wrote me a letter saying thank you. And then Neil wrote me a letter saying thank you. And I said, Neil, we should talk. He said, well, give me a few months. And then I got a hold of him and he said right away, he says, yeah, let's talk, of course. Very nice man. I said, you should give me help for saying that because that's fun, you know. But he never did, and I forgot to mention it.
Deco's1 says, love your work, guys. Love watching
Thank
your
you.
videos. All the best from Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, Brisbane, yeah. Cool.
Would you consider interviewing Steve Wilson, Porcupine Tree? He reminds me much of Pink Floyd and other progressive acts. He seems open to interviews.
I would if I had a chance. I mean, that whole like Porcupine Tree, like progressive stuff. I find that bands like that, you literally, like Spock's Beard, your mind expands by listening to them, much like we did when we were, you know, growing up to Pink Floyd and, yeah, bands like that are kind of cool. I haven't listened to a lot of stuff like that in a little while, but yeah.
Jack's asking, will you ever interview Mark Farner from Grand Funk?
I interviewed him twice. It's on the channel. If you look up John Beaudin, Mark Farner, you'll find it. Yeah. And Don Brewer I interviewed as well. It started with Don Brewer. And then after talking to Don Brewer saying, oh, I don't think fans mind that Mark, they love our current version of Grand Funk. And I went, I don't know. That's not going to go down very well with the fans. So I reached out to Mark Farner. We had a mutual friend. Arnie Vilches who works with John Zeka. And he made it happen. And then recently and since I have that connection now, I contacted their management and got him again. So it's there. Great stuff. We talk about Grand Funk, all the songs.
Billy Reed is asking, John, your take on Greta Van Fleet.
Not crazy about the singer, but I like the band. I don't dislike the singer. But I'm glad they're there. I think they're a good band. I mean, obviously they sound like Zeppelin at times quite a bit, even though they say that whole, of course they sound like Zeppelin. Of course they emulated themselves after Zeppelin.
Maria's asking, did you hear that Steve Perry's new Christmas CD sold out in 2 days and it hasn't even been released yet?
I didn't hear that. I should reach out to Trev Lukather. I told Trev when I interviewed him, because like Steve Perry's like Steve Lukather's son. Steve Perry's like a second dad to him. I shouldn't say that, but he's like close to him, like a mentor, and helped them with their last trio album. And I said, listen, Trev, I'm not going to ask you to reach out to Steve Perry, but he didn't say he wouldn't. But at the same time, I might because of the release. I'd love to talk to Steve Perry. Would be a dream. It's a dream. Oh, Krista Berg's another one that we have coming up. Krista Berg's coming up. I forgot. Hopefully next week. I always want to talk to Krista Berg. Not only about, obviously, you have to ask him about Lady in Red, because that was his biggest song, but to talk to him about, the earlier stuff. Those first few albums, they were out there, man. They were like, he'd take you on the journey. Okay.
Neil Morse would be a great interview as well.
Yes. They're all in that group, right? They're all in that kind of group of musicians. I've tried to, when I first started the channel, I tried to get almost anyone I could, anyone with a name, because I thought, let's start there. And then I started going for ultimate, what's a music cast? What are those guys called? They always interview obscure people. And I applaud them for doing that. I don't know how they make money or if they make money. But when I do that, I don't do as well. So if I don't interview like the big classic rockers, I'm not really making a lot of money. And people say, well, what about it? Just, hey man, I'm paying the bills. I'm trying to pay